Welcome to The Switch, not another podcast. The Switch is a collaboration between Baseload Capital and DNB, aiming to accelerate the green transition. We want our podcast to be a central hub for knowledge exchange within the fields of renewables and green transition. Hosted by Kristina Hagström-Ilevska and produced by Emil and Jacob.
Hi guys!
Hello.
We're back in the studio again!
Yes, back for another episode.
Definitely, and this is the episode where you feel you belong, correct Emil?
Yeah, because we have someone here that's working on a company that has one of their main offices in Linköping.
And how do you say that if you talk in dialect in Swedish?
Linköping.
Oh, there you go. If you didn't understand that, Google. Or what do you say? Jacob, did you understand what he actually said?
Yes.
Cool. You're used to it. Okay, so Jacob, what are you looking forward to in today's show?
Well, what I want to know is, last year, Sweden's biggest business magazine reported that ESG-oriented stock owners were turning their backs on Saab and selling off their stock. As a consequence of this, Saab hired a chief sustainability officer and promised to be more transparent on how they work with sustainability. So now a year passed. What happened since then?
We have Eva.
So
Exactly. Yeah, that's interesting to listen to how that trip went on. That's interesting, definitely. What about you, Emil? What do you want to know?
I want to know if we can get more information about because I know Saab is more than airplanes. They do a lot of research and a lot of technology and inventions and stuff like that. So I want to know what the technology can bring us in the future and if it makes us more sustainable.
I'm super excited to hear about her. I think that she's been in this industry for so long. So it's going to be interesting to hear how it's changed and her work, because it is cool, but it wasn't so cool before. So interesting to hear how that has affected her and a little bit about her work with industries before. Yeah. Well, you guys, you hear it. It's a super exciting episode we have in front of us. I hope you're ready. And for you to get to know a little bit more about this person and the company, check this out.
She is head of group sustainability at Saab. Our guest is leading climate task forces throughout the business chain, showing that it can be done. She has over 20 years of experience in sustainable businesses, organizations and authorities, and she certainly has a know-how when it comes to making the switch. She is a change maker and truly a star. So now, let's give a warm switch welcome to today's guest, Eva Axelsson.
Well, here she is, the answer to the ESG-oriented stock-owned prayers of Saab. Welcome, Eva.
Thank you. Very nice to be here.
We're happy to have you here on The Switch, not another podcast. I hope you're ready for today's show.
Of course I am.
Definitely.
Yes.
And you know about the bullshit button?
We've seen it.
Yeah?
It's
You're
a
ready
red
to push
button.
it?
Yeah.
And you know also we have the awesome pull.
That's new for today, I heard.
Yeah, it is. So make sure to use them both, but definitely in the end to make an entertaining and educating show. And I think we do, because we have actually a star here with us today.
I'm honored.
Yeah, you are, because I'm always impressed with people who have the resilience, and you have been in the sustainability work business for 20 years. So, now it's a really hot title and everybody wants it, but you've been in it for a long time.
I have.
Yeah. And an interesting aspect of this is that there are so many good people like yourself, and there is a new generation coming that know very much about it. But I also believe that what you said earlier, that it needs to come from the top down. So we need to start talking about this and letting the sustainability manager and C-level people talk about this for real, not just using the title as something to show off.
The title is, of course, something that you need as a CFO or a CEO or something that really tells, you're responsible and on top of the organization, responsible for organizing and again, a leadership within the company, as well as knowing the sciences, right? So of course, I believe the title on that point is important in other parts of the world, perhaps not here in Stockholm, where we are at the moment. But of course, nothing is not worth more than what you actually fill your role with.
Exactly.
And the capacity, really.
And the mandate, I would say.
The mandate is crucial. It's really, coming from a company where we are accelerating sustainability and taking new steps, I think the mandate is one of the things that I've been given the trust with from the management team, really, to take a wider scope of mandate. And I think that, of course, not only for Saab, but for all companies, is really important. Coming back to team building and team efforts.
Because I think it's a pretty exciting story that actually the stock owners pushed for this role, in a sense. So you are an answer to what the actual stock owners, is that the truth?
It's a good question. It's a start, I think, because of course, coming from the finance sector and with the background I have, I do of course know the frameworks and the way you should work with sustainability. What is best practice, really? What is expected from those stock owners, from the funds and so forth. So of course, given sustainability more transparency is, of course, one task I was given, and of course, one answer, if you like, then to the stock owners. But I believe also a very important part here is the change we've seen from our customers, really the countries and the defense authorities that actually are taking huge steps when it comes to environment and recognizing climate, not just only as a security threat, but also as a responsibility to mitigate. And that is, of course, something when it comes to leadership and high technology capacity, something that also is very interesting for Saab, coming back to what is the business case, right? And why is sustainability important in another way? So we were given 2021, the year, to really accelerate the new strategy, and my mandate again was given to increase governance, the capacity from different functions and specialized current responsibilities within the company. But then also, of course, given the brutal situation we've seen in Ukraine and the need for a defense sector as a ground fundament for sustainability, really. How can you push sustainability if you have a war, right? So the defense and the task to really raise the bar against being attacked is, of course, a fundamental part of being able to roll out sustainability and really to achieve the sustainability goals, I believe.
It's quite interesting because, I mean, Saab is not maybe traditionally associated with sustainability in a sense. My question is, has it, I hear that you're saying it, but has it changed? And in that case, what has changed internally in order to accelerate it?
It's an interesting question because, yes, I can agree. We're not associated traditionally, and I think that comes back to we've done a lot of efforts, but we have perhaps not been transparent enough according to different frameworks. even though we have worked with a zero tolerance for corruption for over 10 years, we've worked with HR and different parts of managing environmental risks. However, then, again, giving a new area, I would say, of different needs to not only report, but to actually act on the sustainability areas, to be able to report and communicate more. And that is my internal message to each and everyone. We need to do more, because then we can actually, we can be recognized as the company we want to be. And that's back to purpose-driven companies and culture. So I believe Saab, before I joined, had done a lot of things, but the last bits now to again build the team. Perhaps I was one of those bits to complete the team.
I do believe so. And you actually have a very, Saab wants to be climate neutral by 2050.
Yes.
I mean, what's your job now? How can the company achieve this goal?
Yeah. Isn't that great?
It's amazing. I love it. It makes you proud. I mean,
it makes me very proud of the brave leadership behind that. Of course, it's a great challenge. It's a huge challenge, really, to commit to race to zero and science-based target, as Saab did in early October 2021. And we jumped on that challenge. Perhaps before we decided on the entire new sustainability strategy, just because, and due to, again, the fact that, science tells us again and again and again, it's so urgent. We need each and every one, really, to support the transformation in society. And again, coming back to the business case, we can see that Saab's customers did emphasize and did put climate into their strategies. However, how should we do that? I should realize this.
A small question.
The small question. So, of course, the first and the very important part is, of course, to understand the challenge and to really commit to, we want to be part of the solution as other companies that need to transform, as we've seen transport companies, as we've seen construction companies, as we've seen energy companies. Now it's time for the defense companies to really be on that journey as well.
Can you give me an example? How do you begin? I mean, you're associated with airplanes, and how do you? What are your focuses to become climate neutral?
Yeah, so you need to be very systematic when you approach this, and there are lots of frameworks today that can support your journey. We lack data, we lack perhaps new technologies, but you need to start somewhere, and the famous part of the first step is the first step on your long journey, right? So we committed to science-based targets, and we.
What does that mean, science-based targets?
So it's an organization that really recognizes your KPIs, and a third-party organization, CDP and other organizations that really support your KPIs through your journey. So the science-based target, they are also aligned to the Paris Agreement, right? The international commitment to how we should be well below 2 degrees or pointing at 1.5 degrees of temperature increase, which is it's an increase that will have a lot of effects. But the Paris Agreement is what we have, and we should do all we can to align to it. So with that commitment, 2030 science-based target and race to net zero 2050, 2 commitments. One is short-term and one is long-term. And if we did have a climate goal before, that pointed at our production and how we purchased energy and travel and so forth. We are increasing the scope now to the entire value chain. And there's, of course, our suppliers and end use of our products.
So every bit and piece of
every bit and piece of the value chain needs to be in every business area, and recognizes again that we don't have all the airplanes or the jets, but we have submarines, radar systems, traffic management, and 20% of the entire business is civil. We have a lot of training systems, and so including all and every bit of the business through the entire value chain, right? So the systematic part is now to again increase the team effort into each and every business area, and use the high capacity of the engineering we have to understand how do we do this in short term in our own production, what energy we will again purchase and so forth, the easy parts, if you like. But then what are then the disruptive parts? And of course, here it's so crucial to build partnerships. And also not just with other businesses, but I think the strength in the Swedish industry and the triple helix model with academia and other parts of society also, to understand perhaps the switch or the shift we need to perform.
As you said, you have many products and services. So you go into every bit and piece of that value chain and you evaluate it if it is by default going to help reach your goal. Is that how you work?
We go in each and every piece, and we see how we can, of course, decrease and how we can balance the net zero part. So we calculate, again, aligned to the Paris Agreement, how much do we need to decrease each and every year? What are the steps we need to take towards alignment? And again, we committed early October, and we actually disclosed the new KPIs in early March this year. So
that must be very fast.
So during a very, very short time, I would say, the team, the environmental organization, and the new sustainability board that we created in December, actually, 2021, and the steering committee had weekly meetings, intense working hours, I would say, to go through each and every business area and each and every newly created projects.
Must have been a huge amount of work.
It was a huge, and it is a huge. So we call it the climate task forces, really, because it needs to be huge focus.
I like that. Climate task forces within Saab.
It's quite good, isn't it? Yeah.
I will do.
Awesome.
Yeah. So it's a start. But of course, it's so complex, and we don't have all the answers. And again, coming back to the need for partnerships and the need for other companies and their capacities as well, because that's really what build the value chains of delivery to society.
So basically, to explain and summarize, you go internally, you check out what can be improved and changed, and then you get some kind of a report or a summary that you pick out KPIs to. What do you do with them next?
Well, the KPIs are now in line to be approved, and when we sent them into...
In line to be approved by...
By, again, the Science-Based Target Initiative, right. And now we have very positive news. So before we thought that they were to be approved in November. And that says something about the interest of
definitely
being part of the transformation. Now we heard August. So, of course, we're very glad to that.
Okay, so yeah.
And once we have
what you just said here is now that they have understood that there is a big line and everybody's working on it, and they are actually putting in forces themselves.
We hope so.
That's a good news.
That's a good news, because then we can set our new climate goal and we can get started. Of course, we have an intense work starting on that, but then we can put in more energy into that and again, more partners. But we do have actually an issue here, because when we need more partners, coming back to, you said, the ESG stock owners and that debate, which has, again, it has shifted So of course we're very glad to not just be excluded as a whole sector, but as a company in the defense sector, have a start to actually talk about our sustainability work, the work with again anti-corruption, the work with our license to operate, and the social part of it, the governance part, but also then down the line our climate efforts, right?
Yeah.
And of course, we need all those investors. We need financing to take the steps. So we're very glad to have more investors and more partners from the finance sector on board on our journey. But of course, we also need more companies or more partners out there to also be part of the journey, so we can take the steps.
So the partners need to be green and to be a part of you. Okay.
The partners need not to be scared of being stamped or being put in the corner as suppliers to the defense industry and then being excluded. And that's the story what we've seen before. So of course the shift there and the change from the debate we had in autumn 2021, which is different today, is of course a very positive part of having the defense sector now having more, I would say, empowerment to be part of the transformation for climate solutions with the capacities we have and with the tradition we have of
So what you're actually saying here is that there are companies out there that are scared to be associated with Saab because of what you guys are doing and don't want to be a part of helping you with the green transition.
We've seen that before.
Okay.
And I think the shift now in the debate, the shift we've seen, which I think is again, it's crucial to have all sectors in the sustainability transformation and to really have the defense sector with all we have of high technology capabilities and also the new concern for social governance in our sectors. Not all companies, I should say, but a lot of companies, and Saab is one of them, that really would like to take leadership here. And to be able to do that, we need partners. We need the intelligent companies around us. So I'm very positive. I'm very glad for the change, which have started. We're not there yet, but it has started. And it's very important. It's crucial, really, for being part of the transformation.
I do think it's important not to say no. I think that we really need to do this together because it's a transition with many parts in a society. Definitely.
You know, you can be a spectator on the bench, but will you actually put any solutions into the market then? You know, you need to, I believe you need to be part of the game. And really to set your own requirements in that game. And if you're part of it, you can actually change things.
Let me see if you're a part of the game.
Yeah.
Ready for me? You are on for the conscious questions.
Ooh. There we go.
You get to choose between 3 questions.
All right.
Let me see. We want to get to know you a bit more.
Now it's time for conscious questions.
What have you done good for the climate this week? Or have you seen anything bad done to the climate? Or do you have any guilty pleasures?
Oh,
Which one do you pick?
I need to pick one. I guess the positive one. I think you should go the positive track. Well, of course, I mean, in my daily life, it's really about the work, you know, the everyday work, really, to again push the company, push our current partners, and to build capacity. I think that is the most important one. But of course, on the private side, you've seen my helmet when I came into the studios today. I always take the bike every year or every day around the year.
Come rain, come sun.
Come snow, come ice.
Oh, good. I think that's a good one.
I think that's very important. Of course, not only for climate, but also for your health.
I agree.
And of course, not the physical health, but also actually against what we have today with stress and everything. So I really would recommend that for each
You
and
guys
everyone.
bike?
Yeah, I bike.
Bikers?
Good.
Yeah. I even know that you have your film equipment on a bike. Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes,
There you go.
There you go. What about you, Jacob? Are you a biker?
I'm a walker, not a
You're
biker.
a walker, but it's okay. You're a city boy, so you can walk everywhere. Yeah. Well, then you have my guilty pleasure of driving too much car. I have to fix that. But I do enjoy the bike, and I agree with you that it has much more benefits than just to the climate.
It has.
Yeah. I'm a bit curious. As a biologist, are you optimistic regarding the speed of switching to green energy?
I think you need to choose to be an optimist here. Of course, it takes too long time. It's very slow when we see again the need for change, the need for securing not only the energy shift but the diversity. The ecosystems are really getting close to breaking down, and what the shift you can see with coral reefs, etc. And really, one example what science tells us, if we actually reach the Paris Agreement, right, you have around 70 to 90% of coral deaths in our oceans. And I'm thinking that coral reefs are actually the nurseries for our oceans, and the land ecosystems are dependent of the oceans, right? So it's so urgent that we actually can create all the energy and all the political decisions and all the empowerment into businesses to actually create that change. So is that possible? Well, again, seeing what we've seen during my 20 plus years in businesses, we have so much empowerment in finance. We have so much disruptive technologies now, not only in the energy sector, but really in transport. And for one example, one research project that Saab is also part of is when it comes to flight fueling. Is that biofuel in the future? Is it electric, or is it hydro? Or which one is the best? So it's about to be evaluated, and of course that is one part. It's not really the flying within itself, but it's really how would we drive all the transportation that would be necessary in also 2050 when we have a lot of climate goals.
Because I do believe that, again, back to you're optimistic regarding it, because, for example, for Saab, you have very long product cycles. You create a jet, it's not going to be taken off the market. So how do you work with creating a change now with what you have? But then, of course, I understand that you're building something for the future as well that have completely different setup. But there is so much, how long is a product cycle if there is not a war and it's destroyed? It must be 50 years?
Normally we say 30 to 40 years in a lot of products. Submarines, for example, is one example. But all these products, we have contracts with services, and getting back to the Race to Zero science-based target commitment we made, that's one part where we can supply new solutions to our clients in the future, even though the jet within itself would be the same. That could be, efficiencies evolving, or the part we have started to work on disruptive technologies, and again, coming back to the research projects we're part of, what will be the new part. But also one of the really important part here is, of course, what is mission critical capacities.
Mission critical capacities.
So that means when it comes to our products and the services, when you really will need them, you need to have products that you really can use.
Can trust.
Can use. You don't want to have an electric jet over the Baltic Sea, and you need to go back to Stockholm, you know,
to go fuel.
to plug. So of course, it's probably the reason why I would say the last industry into transformation, because it's really traditional, it's complex, and it's really, when you look at the usage, you really need to be really concerned about all the capacities. But again, you need disruptive technologies, and what is the normal engine in 2050?
I hear that. My question: do you have faith in that Saab will reach the 2030 and the 2050 goals?
You know, I do, yes, to be very clear. Of course, we made the commitment. We have, again, the leadership. But most of all, I think with that leadership, we have high technology capacities. All these engineers that have, through the years, may not be the same people, but the same culture that has evolved during the years and that put new solutions on the market. So with that high capacity, I would say, yes. You know, we have for sure the capacity, and we're part of it today.
Do you see any trends of any disruptive technologies that will affect you at Saab?
We have one actually, which is one bit in our green taxonomy reporting. It's very, very small when it comes to the complete business, but still very interesting, and it's traffic management. Where you actually have sensor systems that is replacing the human traffic management. So instead of having the flights, you know, waiting in the air, using a lot of fuel just to wait, you can have the efficient landing and takeoff with a traffic management system, taking over where the human sensors have less capacity than the actual radar systems.
That's cool. So will that go into cars as well in the future, you think? Who knows?
Who knows?
Interesting, because then I won't have to have that guy next to me, correct?
You never know.
We'll see. It sounds like you're optimistic in a sense. Is there any uncomfortable conversations needed to be had now in order to speed this up?
Well, it's the energy question, of course, and where we are right now. And the energy safety is, of course, not only about climate politics and climate transformation, but it's really security and you know, the political balance where we have in Europe today. Where should we actually buy our energy from? So I think that is really, again, one proof point to why defense, climate, security, sustainability is together and needs to stay together. Because if you want to have a real solution for tomorrow, you need to look at where are we today, and to face the geopolitical situation. Really, what solutions should we have?
Interesting. Well, that is an uncomfortable conversation. I'm going to have an uncomfortable conversation for you. Are you ready for this one?
Now it's time for the disruptive questions.
Saab is building fighter jets, weapons for defense and attack. How do you balance the good and the bad?
So I actually don't believe that's a very bad question. I think it comes down to the core of what we are and where we're from, perhaps. Saab was founded in 1937 because we needed to build a defense capacity for our country, really. We needed to have a high technology company, really, to solve the issue where we were then. And things have evolved during the years. The need for defense has sort of, during the years, been in different political phases. But where we are today, we again see the need for our company and our sector as we saw it back then. So of course, the products we put on the market should then be as sustainable as possible. And again, coming back to mission critical capacities and how can you actually achieve a sustainable society if you have the brutal happenings as you have in Ukraine today. Of course, you need to have strong defenses so war will never happen. So I think that is really, the real sort of position we are at the moment.
I like that saying. We need to have a strong defense in order for war not to happen. The answer came straight from the heart. It was interesting to hear. Is there anything else you have on your heart? Do you have anything that you would like to really emphasize and talk about that is not talked about enough?
We talked about team efforts and responsibility. And I mean, again, coming back to are you positive? Could we really, meet the goals in 2050 and so forth? And I mean, we are in times where you really need disruptive technologies. We need to come together. And during the years when I worked with sustainability, I believe that you go through university and you study your science and you get into work and you're getting part of that culture. You work in a municipality or perhaps in a private-owned company or an NGO, and then you're part of different structures. But in the end, you want to reach the same goal. So I think it's really time to join effort here to really, again, coming back to partnership. How can we build a real, true, stronger society together, and to really see how we can support each other in getting further? So how the pandemic, for example, really taught us how we could, how we can solve crisis in different ways. And I think that is, truly what we need to do now when it comes to climate. What discussions could we perhaps, put in the corner and then really join effort to create the change we need?
We truly believe in what you just said. That's one of the reasons why we created this Switch, Not Another podcast, because we really want to elaborate, talk, educate and entertain regarding this area so that we start collaborating even more. So I hope that the audience here is now listening and trying to find different partnerships. Would you like to address them? Is there anything you would like to say to them as a bit of a final summary from your side here?
You have capacities and you also have responsibilities to, go out there and create the change within your role, within your private life and so forth, because, you have the power to do something differently. So.
I think that's some really good words. Now, because I think that those words actually concludes what I want to give sunshine to you, because I really get inspired by looking at your journey and having the resilience for these 20 plus years and still being such a force of nature within this. And you're actually taking on a task that is huge, changing and making something sustainable, which is not the first thing you think about. Yeah. So I'm really looking forward to follow you on this trip.
Thank you.
So my sunshine goes to you.
Oh,
who do you want to give sunshine to?
Sunshine.
Oh, big question. Well, I've talked a lot about science, right? And I really believe in science and the data out there and actually, the life in nature. And one of the rock stars out there, which has really inspired me, not only by his reports, but also about his presentations and the way he communicates that, is Johan Rockström. So I think as a Swedish rock star scientist, he should also continue his work, even though his...
We want him here in the studio.
You should.
Join us here. Johan. Definitely. A big rock star that everybody should check out, definitely. As a summary, what do you bring with you from today's conversation?
I liked your questions. Thank you for that. And of course, again, I'm honored for your sunshine and for your fantastic research to sort of put the questions on some of the, I mean, real difficult tasks we have out there. And of course, is it possible really to create that change? Well, we have a lot of answers, but we really don't have all of them. And I guess I gained a little bit more energy to go out there and really find the answers. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you. I am happy, and I guess, guys, that's our mission, to give people like Eva the energy to continue, because you're super important. And so is actually Saab, at the work that you're doing to create a difference in each and every part of the value chain you are working for.
Thank you.
So if you want to check out more about Saab, I know that they have really interesting stuff to find on the website. You can read up more or contact you maybe even to get more questions.
More than welcome.
You're more than welcome. If you want to make sure to spread this message, please do share this episode and make everybody know what we have learned today. Thank you very much, Eva. Thank you, Saab, for giving us you for a bit. And good luck now with the rest of the quest.
Yeah.
Thank you.